Reddit is the place to go to read some of the scariest and most disturbing stories from across the internet, with the most insane existing on the Reddit forum r/Askreddit. In the case of these 5 stories, they center around hauntings, intruders, and abandoned buildings and spooky tunnels. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary responses from Askreddit. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. Coming in at 5, the Houseguest. Posted to the Askreddit thread, in the spirit of Halloween, paranormal or not, what is the scariest, creepiest, or most unsettling experience of your life? Thug Nasty responded with this creepy tale. I quote, "When I was about 7 or 8 years old, my family rented a house close to the beach for a week. The drive wasn't very long, but as an 8-year-old, by the time we got there, I really had to feed the porcelain stallion a brown bone." I love this user so much. "We pulled into the driveway and were met by a middle-aged woman who owned the house and showed us the place and told us about the town and what to do, etc. My first instinct is to find a bathroom. So I ask and she tells me it's the second door on the right after the kitchen. I go inside and open the bathroom door to an older guy just standing there looking at me. I kind of duck my head down, say sorry, and go back outside. They noticed I was back pretty fast and I told them there was someone in the bathroom already. That's when it got weird. The lady looked at me confused and said, 'There's no one else in the house.' I explained that I definitely saw someone in that bathroom. After searching the house, we find no evidence of anyone else being there. After a while, the lady told us her dad owned the house and lived there and recently passed away. She inherited the house and wasn't sure what to do with it, so she started renting it out. Guess her father wasn't too happy with that decision if he's haunting the bathroom." Coming in at number 4, the campsite. Now, this response was posted on the Askreddit forum, Campers of Reddit. What is the scariest, creepiest, most disturbing thing that has happened to you in the woods? Well, KMIA official chimed in with this incredibly creepy response that makes me never want to go camping. I mean, I've never been, but this has reaffirmed why. I quote, "When I was younger, around 14 or 15 years old, my family used to camp at a state park. Every night my friend and I would walk through the woods. We called this the ritual." Bad sign already. "This particular night we decided to walk further into the woods than usual. We had flashlights, but we liked to try and navigate through the woods with them turned off. Honestly, they sound like psychopaths. We were about half a mile from the nearest campsite when we heard soft whispering behind us. Obviously, we hit the flashlights and spun around. Didn't see anything, so we kept walking and we heard it again. This time we stopped and looked around a bit before we decided to head back to our campsite. Then we see what's whispering. It's a lady crawling on the ground, whispering just random words. She was wearing dark clothes and was covered in dirt. When she sees that we notice her, she stands up and declares that she is looking for her campsite. We ended up walking her back to the campground and tried to help her find her group. Turns out she was super drunk/high and got lost trying to find a bathroom. Her friends didn't notice she was missing, and if we didn't go that far into the woods, she would have been lost all night. It was pretty creepy. I mean, at least this creepy story has a happy ending, right? I also think we can all relate to the woman on the ground. We've all been there once." Coming in at number 3, the Intruder. Posted to the Askreddit thread, "What's the scariest thing you've woken up to in the middle of the night?" Rotten Flesh responded with this horrifying story. "I woke up to my mum panicking, unlocking my door and asking me to call the cops. It was around 3 AM and someone was trying to choke her and possibly do worse. She said that she heard someone open her bedroom door and lay on the corner of the bed. She called my name out multiple times thinking it was me, but then someone tried choking her. She managed to kick them off and ran downstairs into my room to protect me. Once the police came, they did a search and found nothing. They asked if anyone else lived with us, and we said the only person that lived with us was a man who rented the downstairs basement, but he was never a problematic person. The police decided to speak to him anyway and found him in his room bleeding because he had accidentally cut himself when my mum kicked him off. Yeah, that was scary. After that evening, I had horrible sleep paralysis for several nights. I kept dreaming that a black shadow would crawl into bed right next to me and strangle me. Honestly, this one is absolutely terrifying, and trust me, it was worse. I had to cut a few lines out because it was too disturbing, but trust me, this one was truly messed up." Coming in at number 2, the Escapee. Now, this Askreddit response is absolutely terrifying. Posted to Reddit, "What's the most disturbing, unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you?" User KoiPug1994 responded with this. I quote, "So this happened to my mum when she was 14. My mum and her stepdad were watching TV one day when all of a sudden they heard the family dog freaking out, like barking its head off. My mum takes a look outside and doesn't see anyone and dismisses it as the dog just being a dog. Anyway, cut to an hour later, my mum heads upstairs to go to bed. Upon reaching the top floor, she notices the light in her room is on. Growing up with prankster brothers, she assumes that they are in her room doing something nefarious. She opens the door preparing to tell her brother to get out of her room and is met with a horrifying sight. Everything in her room is upturned, and on her bed is a disheveled woman who is dressed in my mother's clothes. She turns around to see who entered the room, and upon seeing my mother says, "I'm going to kill you," and lunges at my mother with a pair of clothing scissors. My mother got out of there, and her stepdad, after not believing her for a few seconds, called the police. Long story short, this woman had escaped from the local asylum and had sneaked past my mum and her stepdad. Honestly, can you imagine going to bed and finding a stranger in your room? That's absolutely terrifying. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have the creepy cave. This Reddit response comes to us on the Ask Reddit forum, Urban Explorers of Reddit. What is your most horrifying experience? A user by the name of Dirty Buzz responded with this creepy tale. I quote, "This happened 8 years ago when I was a sophomore in high school. My urbex friends and I were on a bike ride looking for cool places to explore in a dilapidated area when we discovered a really creepy cave. About a week later, 5 of us returned with proper gear and a camera to see what we could find in the mine. We discovered there was basically one mine shaft that sloped downward and deeper into the earth, so we followed the main route. It was wide enough for a car to drive down and was pretty well graded, so the walking was easy. There were many rooms, old machinery and rusting equipment off this main shaft, but we mostly avoided it in the beginning. We were trying to not get lost or confused. Along the way, the walls were littered with classic abandoned graffiti. X was here, swastikas, initials and dates. As we got deeper and deeper though, the graffiti began to really thin out, and the light from the entrance was long gone. At this point we started arguing among ourselves. We walked for a while in silence, hearing nothing but our own movement and the steady drip of water coming from somewhere deep in the cave. Then we stumbled across something that all made us stop cold. Dug into the side of the deep stone shaft we were slowly descending was a tunnel, an offshoot. It was narrow, you'd have to crouch down to go through it, but that wasn't what made us stop. It was the graffiti. We hadn't seen any for 10 minutes or so and had assumed that artists never came this deep, but someone else clearly had, and the message left was ominous. Scrawled throughout the tunnel were words like suffering, pain, plague, disease, and hell. Despite our fear, we were overpowered by curiosity and crawled through the tunnel. What we found was a strange flooded chamber. Around the pool of water were many large stones, each covered with dozens of burned out tea candles. The walls had a few creepy monster faces on them, and the tunnel entrance back to the main shaft was ringed with a spray painted blood-stained mouth. The user goes on to speculate whether the place was a site for local Satan worshippers, or could it have been an elaborate hoax? Who's to say? But I'm going with Satan. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any Ask Reddit responses that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 scary stories you won't believe. Kathy Naiman said, "Love it when Lucy acts though." Honestly, Kathy, I'm not acting. This is just me. I wish I was acting, but I can't act, as you can tell. Daniel Lozano said, "So glad you're back. Enjoy top 5 scary videos even more. Love your wicked humor, makes me smile. And I'm not a smiler either." Respect, Daniel. Who likes smiling? Smiling sucks. Oddman Out Prop said, "Yawns sound just as cool when she says tomatoes." I feel like this was an insult, that you were yawning because my video was boring, but you know, the only people that get bored are boring people. Professor Crowley said, "Lucy is the reason I subbed because she is the queen of scary." I know. Respect. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later. Also, I don't want anyone commenting on the fact that I'm wearing pajamas. Although you guys don't know that I sleep in this shit. But you do now. Don't ad-lib. I do it when I can't. Oh, I'm gonna edit this video. I'm not letting anyone touch this. Please, fuck, suck. Fuck. Fuck. Alright, give me a sec.